snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles, touchdown.
Here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown.
Fields stumbling, trying to cut it back. Justin Fields making magic happen. There goes Fields. Touchdown.
Hurts on first down, fires downfield. It's Deshaun Jackson back in the lineup. Missed the last 7 games, and he will take it 81 yards. A somersault into the end zone. His first touchdown of the season.
You're listening to the Pigskin Project, the world's #1 football podcast. Now, with more insights on all things football, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen and Ryan Matthews.
And Matt Hartman. You might see a remodel here soon. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if we can, figure this out. Guys, welcome back. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. First round of the playoffs in the books, a historic matchup between Ohio State and Texas, also in the books. Had to bring it up. Sorry, Matt. Anyways, boys, how you doing? Matt, I'll start with you this time because you're on my right instead of Ben because his freaking camera doesn't work. What's going on?
Doing great. I'm glad to talk some ball, talk some wild card weekend. Ironically enough, it's not super wild card weekend anymore, but hey,
Nope.
It is what it is.
It's not
Still
super
fun,
anymore.
Fun weekend of football.
Ben, how you doing?
Yeah, doing good, brother. School just started up for me, so we're balancing that and personal life and football, but all is well. So we're excited to be here again, talking some ball. Don't know who to root for in this college football playoff championship game, but we'll get there.
Hey, we're always happy to hear that. I'm trying to pull up a picture before I get started here. Why can't I find it? Oh my gosh, it was right there. I just had it. Anyways, wild card weekend, boys. I think it was a pretty successful one. I will say Matt killed us in Pigskin Pick'em. We will talk about that a little bit later. But overall, fun weekend of football. Like I said, it was a 5-day stretch of games. Starting off, with our weekly review. For college football, you had Notre Dame advancing to the national championship. That was pretty cool to my surprise, honestly, just because I thought Penn State was going to beat them and Notre Dame would do normal Notre Dame stuff. And they continued to tell doubters to just stop doing what they do. So, I'm excited for this weekend because Ohio State did end up beating Texas as well. It was another good matchup, I'll be honest. And Matt, it was an absolute pleasure to have you over for that. And I'll be honest with you. So Ben, I know that you weren't really here for that. And was there any complications for you watching that game or no?
I watched it, but I was not in town. I was visiting some family, but I still watched the game. I had to.
Gotcha. So the biggest thing was, it wasn't like something where we're going back and forth together on, you know what I mean? It was something that I was pretty proud to say that we were civil and, cool with each other about it, because obviously there's a lot on the line for a game like that. Matt, I appreciate you being a good sport. I know that there were a couple tough calls about it, so I'm going to give you the floor here and just say, hey, my team won. That's all I got to say about it. Matt, voice your frustrations really quick before we get into the pros.
Yeah, there's so much to knock about it. The second down toss on 2nd and 1, whatever, was Arch Manning in concussion protocol. I don't know. I don't care. It was a playoff game. It came down to a few select plays in which Ohio State made the plays and Texas didn't. That's what it comes down to. And the quarterback, everyone involved, put our team in a position to win. David Benda came out in the second half, and he made a crazy interception. He had a crazy tackle for loss. He was playing lights out on the defensive end. It was Jeremiah Smith had 1 catch for 3 yards. And so if you want to knock Texas for whatever. Their defense, their pass defense struggled against Arizona State and Clemson. They knew their priorities, and they took out Jeremiah Smith. They let everyone else beat him down the field. It comes down to a few select plays. Will Howard makes the fourth down run to finish off a touchdown drive. Texas goes down. Like, it got inside the 1 yard line, and I think Sark outsmarted himself because there's only one safety in the country who's making that play, and it's Caleb Downs. It just is. And so, comes down to it, Jack Sawyer. What a moment for him, for everything he has been through, for that to be a kind of full circle moment where it's like he's fighting the Michigan team, going 0-4, and he's saying, no, we're not letting this happen. I don't care. Like, it's embarrassing, but F these guys. I'm not letting this happen. And he ends up stripping Quinn Ewers, as Chris Fowler loved to tell us, his old college roommate. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to football at the end of the day.
Ben, did you have any comments about either game, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, this is more of just like a whole like grand scheme of things kind of comment. But I mean, these two teams are the reason that we shifted to the 12-team playoffs, right? In the old format, when it was just the 4 teams, both Notre Dame would have been out with their loss to NIU, and OSU definitely would not have made it with their loss to Oregon and their loss to Michigan. And these are two teams that would have been ruled out very early on into the season. And look at them now. I mean, this is what happens when you extend the field a little bit and you just let the best teams play. And, I mean, we're seeing it. And I do think OSU will win. But, I mean, that Texas-OSU game was fun. And I think the score is a little misleading for those who didn't watch the game. You see the score and you're like, okay, OSU kind of throttled these guys. But that was just not the case. These teams were going at it for the entire game. And, I mean, with 2 minutes left or something like that, there was a chance for the game to be tied. And it just happened that, the pitch didn't work out and everything, and they ended up doubling the score, go from a tie game to a double score. But, I mean, that was one fun game to watch. And, hey, I'm a believer in the 12-team playoff. If I never was before, I definitely am now.
Another thing, too, like, Texas was chasing the entire game. That was the thing that got me, is that like Ohio State gets the stop, first drive touchdown, and then Trevion Henderson has his unnecessary roughness, unsportsmanlike conduct, whatever, kills a drive, and then there's kind of punt, and then Jaden Blue wheel route 7-7, and I looked at Ryan and I said, all right, we got a game. This could go into 7-7 halftime. Trevion Henderson, house call. And it's 14-7 all of a sudden, and they're getting the ball. And then down the line, they score 7 again, and then Ohio State answers again. So it was just Ohio State just had a leg up the entire game. They were playing with the advantage. So it was just a lot of chasing points. There was never a dull moment in the game. And at the end of the game, Quinn Ewers had to make a play, and Jack Sawyer destroyed Cam Williams. It just is what it is. So, yeah. Congrats to Ryan. Congrats to Ohio State. It was an awesome game.
It was fun. I kind of felt bad, but at the same time, like, I do feel like it would be, the same for you in a way. Like, you're happy that your team made the championship. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's like, man, like, Matt and I were still hanging out afterwards and everything like that. And it was definitely like a little bit of disappointment still in the air. Overall, I know that both of us kind of looked at each other and was like, I'm really happy it was at least a good game. And it wasn't like so one-sided to where it's like Ohio State blasting them or like, Texas just beating the brakes off of them. It's like, I'm happy that we were able to go back and forth, because one of my favorite moments of the entire day was probably that Trevion Henderson, touchdown, because you went into it like, all right, we're going into halftime tied up and it's going to be okay. And then as soon as, because we both were standing up on the last drive of the first half, and it's like, now we're on our feet. I'm running up and down the hallway. My neighbors probably hate me. I'm happy that it ended the way that it did. Obviously because of my team, but not just that. It was a good game. I hate to see it with bad play calling just because I've been there before, trust me. So nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into the pros really quick. Texans beat the Chargers 32-12 in a complete manhandling of a game that I never saw coming at all. I mean, you guys know it for sure, and people that, listened last week knew it. I had the Chargers actually winning this game, and so did Ben. So, I'm kind of curious to see, what you guys thought of this game, and just overall. I mean, are you guys as shocked as me? Because, 3 turnovers, I mean, not fun.
4. I think it was four interceptions. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
My bad. I think Derek Stingley was the one.
Yeah.
3 interceptions.
No, I mean, it's telling. I mean, I had the Chargers winning this, and me and Matt sat down on Monday and we kind of wrote our thoughts out on paper, all these games while everything was fresh. But and I hate saying this, but it felt like the lights were too bright for Herbert. I mean, you expect a guy of his caliber, especially the way he played down the stretch of the season, to show up in this game. That being said, I mean, this Texans really needed, D'Amico and his best stuff in this game, and he got his defense together, and they absolutely balled out, and that's despite CJ having a very average game. He had like 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Definitely got carried by Nico and Joe Mixon and stuff. But, I mean, really, again, the highlight was what D'Amico got his guys doing on the defensive end of the ball. And it just seemed like they didn't have a chance the way that those guys were flying around on that side of the ball. Poor Justin Herbert, but that's kind of what I thought when I watched the game.
Matt, did you have anything extra to add on to that?
I mean, the defense pitched a shutout from the Texans side. That's what it was. The second half drive log for the Chargers, they got turnover on downs in Houston territory, 3 and out, pick 6, 4-play interception drive in which it goes through Will Dissly's hands on the right sideline, and then they have an 80-yard Ladd McConkey touchdown, which it happens after back-to-back sacks from Herbert, ironically. So that drive was almost like a miracle play away from being another stalled out drive, and then an interception on the last drive. The Texans defense just pitched a shutout, and it's not surprising to me with how talented this team is. Derek Stingley is an all-pro. They signed Danielle Hunter for these moments. Will Anderson makes plays. Danico Autry makes plays. And then Kamari Lassiter. I mean, Kamari Lassiter being a second-round pick and being this fluid and this, good in his first year as a rookie has really transformed this defense into a rush 4, 7 in coverage unit, and it's hard to throw the ball in this team. And I think it also takes a step back to, the Chargers are still, we still need to understand that they overachieved in a way. They were not going to win the Super Bowl. This was the first year of the Jim Harbaugh era where they're re-clearing cap, things like that. Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack are taking pay cuts, and they're both free agents after this year, if I'm not mistaken. So it was just a kind of take a step back and go, okay, this team still needs to get more talented on offense before we really put them on, the championship scale. And Houston was here last year. Whether we believed Houston this season as a Super Bowl contender, they were in this exact spot last year, winning the division, throttling the Browns, and now they have to go on the road against the 1 seed. But they've been there, and it's credit to CJ Stroud and the entire team.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we have the Ravens beating the Steelers 28-14. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, this was their game. Just absolute. My biggest thing is, here's my complete honesty. I totally fell asleep before this game started, and I was like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and check the box score at halftime and see what happened. I think Lamar Jackson at that point had 65 rushing yards or something. You guys can tell the story, but I'm just letting you guys know this was insane to just wake up to and be like, holy cow, after a long day of work. What do you guys got?
Yeah, I mean, from literally the first snap of the game, it felt like this was an FCS college team playing against an NFL team. And that might be disrespecting North Dakota at this point. I mean, the Steelers just didn't look like they belonged. And that kind of felt like that was the case the last like 4 or 5 games of the season for them. They started off really hot, but down the stretch of the season, it did not look good for them. And it showed in this game exactly. And I think Najee said something after the game in his post-game press conference, or maybe it was like the closing remarks after the game was over a few days later. But he was just saying that the locker room let outside voices in the media infiltrate the locker room and kind of spread, and it really brought everyone down throughout the last 2-3 games of regular season heading into the playoffs, and it really showed. And if you're the Steelers, I don't know what your plan is. I mean, have fun, I guess, signing Russell Wilson to a contract and just continuing the same thing over and over and over again for the next 3 years. I just don't know where to go if you're the Steelers at this point.
I'm right there with you, Matt. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm sick of the Steelers, man. I just am. Halftime, 308 total yards for the Ravens, 60 for the Steelers, 21-0 at half. This is the 5th straight playoff game. They have been trailing by double digits at halftime. Ben said it. They looked outmatched. They finished the season 0-5. It is, at some point, we need to have the conversation. Does Mike Tomlin check out? Like, seriously, because this is a problem with this team. They don't perform in the biggest of moments, and it's a major, major problem. And they've tried to get new coordinators in there. They fire Matt Canada. They bring in Arthur Smith. They make the quarterback switch middle of the year from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson. But even then, like, it didn't matter. Russell Wilson makes the scoreboard look better. He had a sick zone beater to George Pickens to make the score look better. But in the end, it was, sorry, little bro, the Ravens finished with 300 total rush yards. It's embarrassing. Do you know where the Steelers rank in total cash spending on their defense? First. $130 million is allocated to that defense, and it looked that bad. It's just, wow. I'm done with this team, and I'm done with the whole thing around it. And the only way you can suck me back in is if you find an avenue to a quarterback. How are you going to do it? Is it Geno? Is it Dak? Is it, I doubt it's Dak unless, Sam Darnold. Like, those are your only avenues. So it's like, I'm not going to take this team seriously for a minute. No, I don't care what they do in week 10 in November, because at the end of the season, it's going to be deuces. We're going to hang up the cleats, and it's just, I'm sick of it, and I feel like Steelers fans should feel the same way.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. The Mike Tomlin question is interesting considering the Steelers, coaching history, and he's been there for a while. But overall, this is, I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. And I just want to say that from a Bears fan's perspective, where it seems like we just can't ever get it right, it's just the duality of it is like, it's insane to hear. Because it's like you have one coach that wins all the time, but doesn't go farther than like the first round. Mike McCarthy, we'll get there. Or, you get maybe a wild card guy that can figure something out, or just a complete disaster. And you're going to be privileged enough to have the guy that's going to be, a Super Bowl winning coach. And not only that, but lead you for years and years and years and years. But I know we can't get the job done, but it's like, he's got a lot under his belt, and he's been working with not a lot over the last couple of years, with the exception of this one. But he's still got 35, 36-year-old Russell Wilson at quarterback. That's obviously regressed. And then his other options, Justin Fields, that, I will say, like, hasn't panned out exactly the way that I wanted him to. So it's like, He's Jalen Hurts. But anyways, I just want to say it's not really the greatest hand that he was dealt, but I understand from the Steelers fans' point of view. Are we moving on?
I think it was Steve Smith who said it. This isn't like an original thought. I think it was Steve Smith. I could be wrong though. But like he mentioned, do you want to know who else was a great head coach but could never get the job done with their franchise and is arguably the greatest head coach in their franchise history? Andy Reid. And the Eagles cut him. Like it got to a point with the Eagles where Andy Reid just couldn't get the job done. He could get there, but he could never finish the job. And they moved on, and it sucked for a couple years. It really did. But 2017 happened. Look at the Chiefs now. He was able to get the job done there. At a certain point, if you're not finishing the job, and it sucks to say because there's a lot of bad head coaches around the NFL. Again, Ryan, you know this more than anyone. But at a certain point, when do you move on when a coach can only get so far? I don't know.
Yeah. Next up, Bills beat the Broncos 31-7. Not a great start to Sunday. Obviously you wanted a little bit more from the Broncos. I said that the Broncos had a decent chance of slowing this team down. I could not have been more wrong. But Josh Allen did Josh Allen things, completing 20 of 26 passes, 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, still very impressive from the guy. James Cook, 23 carries, 120 yards and a touchdown as well. Pretty darn good if I don't say so myself. Guys, what are we thinking for this one? Matt?
Yeah, I'll start. Buffalo came out a lot like the Broncos started super fast. Like Bo Nix ripped a seam ball against quarters to Troy Franklin, and I think all of us sat up and went, "Whoa, all right, we're gonna get a shootout." And after that, the Broncos didn't score another point. But Buffalo did a lot like Baltimore did. They came out in a lot of heavy sets. They ran 16 snaps of 6 offensive linemen. Their 6 offensive linemen, Alec Anderson, they like to bring in. 15 of those 16 plays were run plays. So they clearly had an identity of, all right, you guys like to run Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper and all these light edge rushers. All right, we're going to force them to tackle, and they're not going to get upfield to, pressure Josh. And they just beat the hell out of him. That's really what it is. It was the same, maybe not to the level of 300 yards like the Ravens, but it was just beat them up, and we'll get on to next round. And Sean Payton kind of coached scared. I don't know. Like, there was a lot of telegraphed drives in the second half, 2 straight drives. They had 2 3-and-outs in which they went run, pass. And at some point, I feel like you needed to unload the clip with Bo Nix because he showed you he could, on the first drive. But after that, it was nothing, man. It was what it was. The Bills continue to get the 2 seed and continue to dominate the 7 seed, no matter who it is.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. Well, I didn't watch the majority of this game. I saw that again, that ball to Troy Franklin, and then I hit the road back up. So I didn't watch this game. But yeah, as you said, I saw that seam ball to him, and I was like, okay, we have a game here. And then by the time I get back to Bloomington, I'm like, oh God, maybe I'm glad I didn't watch this game.
Yeah.
But as you said, with that 6 offensive linemen, they are by far, in a way, they lead the league in 6 offensive lineman sets in the jumbo package. I think they double the next team behind them in terms of how often they run the jumbo package. So just something to watch out for. If your defense cannot stop the run, have fun playing against the Bills because they're just going to run it down your throat with their jumbo package. Good luck. Pause.
Next up, the Eagles beat the Packers 22-10. Jordan Love played like straight up garbage. 20 for 33, 212 yards, 3 interceptions on the year. Thank you very much for completing the agenda behind the scenes. I've been saying Caleb Williams is better than Jordan Love, and be ready, folks, because it's going to continue all off season. Guys, what did we think about this? I'll start with the Eagles fan this time. Ben, what do we got?
Yeah, I mean, it really was like a battle of like nutrition for them. It seemed like every drive someone in the Packers was getting hurt. The Packers started off like getting the ball in a fumble on the kickoff. The Eagles went down, scored. To be frank, the Eagles offense didn't look like the best that they could have. I think that has a lot to say with Jalen Hurts virtually not playing 3 games because he only played like the first part of the first quarter in that Commanders game. And then after that, he was out. He was just knocking the rust off. And I told this to Matt when we were talking on Monday. If the Eagles can stumble into 22 points looking as bad as they do, watch out when Jalen Hurts is firing on all cylinders like he was the last 2 months of the season heading into the playoffs. And I can't say enough about this Vic Fangio defense. I mean, there were people that had, there were people that were skeptical going into the season. Some people calling like Vic Fangio's defense almost dated at this point because it's just been around for so long and there's kind of a certain archetype of offense that can beat it. But I mean, so far this season, really no one's been able to besides fourth quarter Jane Daniels. So I can't say enough about how well this defense has played throughout the season. And again, if Hurts can kind of pick it up and resume where he was at the final 3-4 games of the season, I don't know if there's really many teams in the league that can stop him. And we'll get into the Rams matchup and stuff. But I did enjoy this game a lot. I'll say that.
Matt?
Yeah, this was very inspiring football from both offenses in the first half. Jordan Love had 2 interceptions, one down the right sideline to, I believe it was Wicks, underthrown. Slay makes a play on it. Great play by Darius Slay. The one I had the issue with was the assumption with Zach Bond right before half. Tucker Kraft kind of slides out of blocking position late, and he's kind of going, okay, Bond's going to come up. He's going to creep towards me. He's going to play the tight end, and I can rip this dig route. Nope. Bond stays flat. Interception. Blah, blah, blah. Hurts also not exonerated. After the touchdown, which was a short field because of a fumble, did Green Bay recover the fumble? I don't know. Call stood. They scored 7 points. Jahan Dotson sighting. After that touchdown, Philly's drive log till half, 5-play punt, 11-play field goal drive that ends in the red zone, 3 and out, and lastly, after the Bond interception, 3 and out, that was in Green Bay territory when it started. Mm-hmm. That was a real problem, but Philly continuously, like Buffalo, like Baltimore, they grind you into the dust in the run game. They turn to Saquon Barkley, less decisions for Hurts. It created an explosive kind of like a boot out to the left, created a big play, like 30-yard gain to Devontae Smith because so much action towards Barkley. That was a nice design by Kellen Moore. Philly needs to be better on offense if they want to make a run at this thing. Like, truly, you can stumble your way into 22 points, but if you're showing this already that you have this game in you, it's a problem to me. They'll get better. I have to assume that, rust is a factor, but it needs to get better. And then Green Bay. I mean, what's Green Bay's path now? Like, they lack the star power. They have paid Jordan Love like he is a top 5 guy, and he's not. The flashes of being a top 5 guy are certainly here and there, but down-to-down consistency is absolutely not there. And it comes down to, do they get more people in the building? I think Devontae Adams is a name that I guarantee is going to be discussed. If you can get an alpha X receiver in there to win on man coverage, because that was a lot of what Minnesota did a few weeks ago. They played a lot of man coverage and forced these receivers to win. And this week, they lost like 3 of their receivers in this game. They lost Dobbs to the head injury. They lost Jaden Reed, and they already had lost Christian Watson. So it's where does Green Bay go from here? Because you were in this same exact spot last year, and you left the playoffs last year with so much hope. But now you kind of take a step back in a way after paying Josh Jacobs, who played a hell of a game, and Xavier McKinney, who had a hell of a season. So it's kind of like, all right, like, this is kind of the core we still are lacking real difference makers on each side of the position, even if they have a lot of good. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And the thing to watch out for too is like there are reports that came out. I don't know if it was today or yesterday or what day it was, but like Jair said, like he doesn't think he's going to be back.
Oh, he's
and we'll
gone.
see. Things can.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, things can change, but like he said, he's not coming back. So it's going to be interesting. But I mean, I'm
and it makes it interesting
maybe it'll
because
be us.
They didn't address this position in the draft, the corner. Like this was they were in a spot where they could have gotten one of these difference makers at corner, knowing Jair was coming up, and they decided not. They took a guard, Jordan Morgan, who didn't play most of the season. So it's fascinating in Green Bay because there's a lot of good, but it's lacking that push you over the top.
Yeah. No, exactly. Maybe it'll be us, not to cut you off, Ryan. Maybe it'll be us. Maybe it'll be someone else. But the whole like Toyotathon Jordan Love thing like needs to be studied. It's absurd. He's like he's a top 5 quarterback during Toyotathon, and like that's like I know it's a joke, but like he balls out during like it's June Kyle Schwarber. Like that's what it is for him during Toyotathon. But then as soon as it's comes playoff time or before that, he kind of pardon my language, he shits the bed. He's just not the same guy, and I don't know what it is. And like you said, I don't know what their plan is moving forward because they have so much money invested, but still can't manage to get something done. So I wonder if they try to make a last-ditch effort at like a T. Higgins or something and try to get a star wide receiver out there.
Mm-hmm.
Unbiased, bring back Devontae Adams. I almost forgot his name.
The issue with that, though, is he's old. So when he retires in 2 years, you're going to have to redo this process over again.
It's not the fact that it's not only the fact that you'd be getting a true number one. It's the fact that you've got a very, very young wide receiver core that can learn a lot from a guy like Devontae Adams that already, this core is already talented. I will not ignore that fact. You bring in a guy that's played in Green Bay before, has been an all-pro, you know what I mean, has been a Pro Bowler, has been in the playoffs, has won games in the playoffs. He's played with Aaron Rodgers, okay? And I know that Jordan Love has sat beside, in the same quarterback room as Aaron Rodgers, but it's like, what if, the guy that Aaron loved to throw to, not just this season, but previous seasons in Green Bay, what if he can maybe, teach Jordan Love a couple things in terms of, hey, from a wide receiver's point of view, this might be something you want to look at. Like, it's not something that's going to be a long-term option whatsoever. And I totally understand the appeal of T. Higgins. But you got to think that a guy like Devontae Adams could provide a little bit more value in other ways than just, it's a number one. Because obviously, like, I feel like he can still produce. What he did in New York this year is just, it's disgusting. But, going forward, like the Packers, I think that would be a good thing to look into. I think the Jets are destined for for a rebuild at this point. The way that Aaron Rodgers is speaking, it seems like they're not going to have that quarterback next year. And the sense of direction for this team isn't very good. So why would you hold on to these veterans that can save you a lot of money in the way that you can cut them? So in the scenario that they do that, I think absolutely you try to pursue it. You at least look into it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, and let's say he's not made available, that's when you go and look at, one of these younger guys like, your T. Higgins, for example. What pick do they have in the draft? Do either of you guys know off the top of your head? Matt, draft guy?
I have to assume it's in the mid-20s now because they lost.
Yeah.
So
But
the
I'll
question
say
that
this.
I have is really quick. I'm sorry. Do you think that Igbuka could fall in that range?
23rd, by the way.
Yeah. That's somebody that I'm looking at, personally, because that's one of the wide receivers that are being taken in the first round. for them, it's going to be an interesting offseason just to see exactly what unfolds. But, it's unbiased, ball knower Ryan coming out here. This is what I personally think that they should look into if it becomes an option. Bears fan Ryan says, kick rocks. I hope you fail and your organization burns to the ground. So just got to make a representation to both sides. Let's go ahead and move on because we're already 35 minutes in. Commanders, Buccaneers. What a game, by the way. You got to feel for Baker.
Oh, yeah.
But Jaden Daniels was probably the player of the game here. 24 for 35, 268, and 2 touchdowns. The kids, this is from ESPN, the headline, Jaden Daniels leads Commanders to first playoff win in nearly 7,000 days. Like, insane. Also, very mad that when other teams can doink it, it goes in. But when the Bears do it and they have hope, Also, why are the Commanders good? Their defense was horrible last year. And now, all of a sudden, magically, it's like they fixed everything. Like, they're good. It makes me mad. It shouldn't work this way, dang it. Anyways, I know I'm not looking into it that deep. I get it. But I'm just saying, like, this is something that I'm just like, wow, this isn't cool.
I have a statement.
I would love this. Yes, if this is what I hope it is. Oh, my gosh.
Why Washington is this good is because they got a star rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels. How many unanimous quarterbacks in this league would you take before you consider before you debate about Jaden Daniels? How many guys are that outlandishly better than him that there's no debate? Because I have
4.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's 4. And again, I'm not saying he's the 5th best quarterback, but if we're talking about like just guys that are certifiably better or better than him that you can't make an argument for, it's 4 and that's it. It's Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes, and that is it. And then you can start having the conversations about everyone else. But that's the point. They went out, they signed at the time we didn't think it was, but a good coaching staff. They hit on a good young QB, and they went out and they signed players to good contracts.
Free agents.
Yes, exactly.
Dorrance Armstrong, Frankie Luvu.
So a little bit of a resurgence. Zach Ertz there helps him too, and everything. But they just did everything right, and that's like that's the answer to your question. And like, I know it's kind of a cop out, but that's what it was. They did everything like the picture perfect way that you can imagine a franchise would go. You have this perfect offseason in mind for these bad teams.
It's unheard of for me.
Exactly. Well, yeah. So
I'm not used to this. They're not supposed to do this. It's not right. No.
Getting into the game really quickly, too. I know, Matt, you mentioned this too to us. This was one of the most fun games I have watched in a long time. That was not an Eagles game for me. I take myself out of my fandom and I sit down and I said, I am a fan of football. Not an Eagles fan, a fan of football. And to sit down and watch this game play out was so much fun. It's great. It's what it's all about.
Shall we move on to the last game before we?
No, I got a ton of notes on this game. What the hell?
All right. No, my bad.
Yeah, Washington.
You were quiet. Don't blame me.
Dan Quinn was very what's the word? He was very easy to read about it. Like, they asked him before the game, "What do you want to do?" Well, they want ball control. They held the ball for 35.5 minutes to Tampa's 24.5. They wanted ball control. Mm-hmm. They led that in 11 minutes. Washington controlled this football game. Ironically enough, we talked about Buffalo, Baltimore, Philly. They controlled this game without a sustainable run game. 2.5 yards a carry, 32% success rate. Second worst of any team in the wild card round behind, with only the Steelers behind them, and it looked like it from Pittsburgh. Washington had Washington's drives of 10-plus plays in this game, 5 of them. Tampa had 1. It was just that was the game. And then it's a playoff game. It comes down to a handful of plays. They get Tampa gets a goal to go stop. Baker mishandles a jet sweep, whatever it was going to be, whether it was going to be play action, mishandles it. Bobby Wagner falls on it. They score a touchdown right after. 2nd and 1 for Tampa in the red zone. They end up having to kick a field goal to tie it. And then 4.5 minutes, Jaden Daniels, inevitable, man. 3rd and 5 from his own territory, 3-and-out territory, rips a dig to De'Ami Brown. What are we talking about? And he makes a play. And then the 3rd and 1 by Jaden Daniels beating Kalijah Cansey. Mike Tirico had a great call of it. The only thing he could do was grab his damn towel. And he slits in for a first down. Zane Gonzalez touches his hair like 30 times. A little nervous tick.
That
OCD.
was insane. And
then he drills it off the upright and then in. I know Ryan loved that part. But it was an incredible football game, man. It was everything about the playoffs wrapped up into one, an easy to root for story in Jaden Daniels, and I'm so excited it keeps going on.
Mm-hmm.
They've won 8 out of their last 11 games.
13 wins this season for the Commanders. Anyone have that on their bingo card? Just go cash a lottery ticket.
My thing is, like, Matt, I remember talking to you briefly about, like, when they traded Curtis Samuel. Like, what are we doing? Or not Curtis Samuel. What is it?
Dotson.
Jahan Dotson. It's like, well, that doesn't help. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that was the
It didn't fit the scheme. Because
that was
watching this whole year, it was about yak and get the ball out quick. Jahan Dotson does not do that well. So it made total sense. They sold high on a guy that didn't fit their scheme, man. They did everything correctly. It's crazy.
The confidence in this kid is insane too. You see it every single game.
He was laughing like a psychopath on that 3rd and 1. Before that 3rd and 1 happened, he's laughing like a psychopath, man. Yeah. How can you not root for him?
Mm-hmm. Next up, Rams beat the Vikings 27-9. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not looking forward to picking this game this week. I think the Rams have a chance. Boys, what do we think? Ben, I'll start with you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of what I had talked to you guys about. In that Lions game, in that game of 2019 against the Patriots, we saw the game plan to fluster Sam Darnold, and that was get pressure on him any way you can. They ended the game with 9 sacks, but that more so this game than the Lions game, there was nothing going for them at all. In that Lions game, you could sit back and you could say, Sam Darnold, why are you not hitting these open wide receivers? This game, there was nothing for him. Sam Darnold did take some very, very bad sacks. And a lot of this, again, is on Sam Darnold. I don't want to get that twisted in any way.
Kevin O'Connell was also awful in this game.
Yeah, but they were playing cardio is what they were doing. Like, there was nothing going for them. And it'll be now an interesting conversation heading into the offseason, what you do with Sam Darnold. And I don't want to dig too much into that now because, again, it's a conversation we could have for like 30 minutes if we wanted to at this point. But, again, it was just pure domination by that Rams defense, and that was it. And the Rams offense, they looked good, but they didn't have to worry because they knew every single time that the Vikings stepped on the field, they were going to get a sack in the drive. It was ridiculous. They tied like the record for most sacks in a playoff game with 9. It was just it was not a game, and it was interesting to watch. Sam Darnold looked like the Sam Darnold of old for sure the last couple of games.
I'm gonna say this, Matt. I'm sorry before you get started. I'm on team get rid of Darnold. Don't even think about re-signing him. Because the way that I don't think so. Because the way that they've transformed Kirk Cousins into this guy that, I know that he was making a little bit of noise in Washington, but a guy that can make how much money in Atlanta, stink it up. And then you see Sam Darnold, who revived his career. I mean, look at this stat: 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions in a year. That the rest of his career. I mean, let's just take the last 3 years, for example, before he played for the Vikings. 49ers, he had 297 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I would imagine he only played 1 game in the season. Yes. So let's go ahead and take his last 3 seasons before that. Panthers, 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Panthers in 2021, 2,500 yards, 9 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. And then the year before that with the Jets, his last one with the Jets, 2,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. This dude doesn't just pull 35 touchdowns and 12 interceptions out of thin air. He had 4,300 yards. I mean, I'm telling you right now, that is, I would say, you could take 2020 through 2022, and that's just about 300 yards shy of, or 300 yards more than what he had in one season with the Vikings. My point is this: if your coaching staff can do this with quarterbacks that have no hope for their career, what do you think they can do with JJ McCarthy? You can instill confidence in a young guy that you've got for the next 4 years on a cheap contract, continue building your roster. I mean, I'm just saying they did it right. I hate to admit it, but I'm just saying, why waste money on Sam Darnold when you can go ahead, invest more money into JJ McCarthy? If he gets hurt, guess what? You sign another veteran quarterback to back him up, and all of a sudden you do it again. Like, maybe you don't bank on it, but I'm just saying, like, you've got a cheaper option that has a lot of upside. You spent a first-round pick on it. I just don't see the appeal in it. I know Ben, I know you said not to dive into it too deep, but sorry, did it anyways.
No, the only reason I say franchise tag him is because JJ was hurt and he really hasn't gotten a chance to really get any reps. Given he's in a QB room, and he was able to kind of see that, but he wasn't really able to get any reps, and that's why I say franchise tag him for a year. I'm not saying sign him long term or anything, but yeah, it goes back to Sam Darnold to having 2 good coaches in back-to-back years, Kyle Shanahan and Kevin O'Connell. And you see what that does for your career. Side note, and don't want to dig deep into this one either. QB1 in the stats that I sent you today was Brock Purdy. Anyways. Matt.
Oh, that's gross. Get out of here. Get out of here. You know what? Never mind. Matt.
That's not. Nope.
Yeah, I mean, this one was pretty simple. It was Darnold held the ball too long. There was too much long developing routes, and the Rams got home with 4. There you go. There was the football game from one side of the ball. I loved what McVay did. McVay and Stafford had a week to prepare for this. They knew who they were going against. And the thing about Brian Flores is he likes to blitz on early downs, the highest in the league, not because of the fear of passing pressure, but the amount of bodies that he allocates to the run game. It gets you into those 2nd and 8s, those, undesirable 3rd and longs, whatever, passing downs. What the Rams did is they came out in a lot of 12 and 13 personnel. The 12 is 1 running back, 2 tight ends, 13, 3 tight ends. They did a lot of quick game stuff where Stafford would kind of get out of dodge and flip it to a tight end, and that's their run game. And all of a sudden, there's less bodies allocated to the outside. And so you get this was a Hunter Long game. This was a Colby Parkinson game. Tyler Higbee's coughing up blood, but for the first quarter, it was his game. And that was really it. It was just that simple and basic, and it was just a domination. And to Ryan's point about JJ McCarthy and Sam Darnold, what do you do there? I completely agree with you, Ryan. You cannot sign Sam Darnold, even if it is the franchise tag, because this team does not have draft picks. They traded all of them for Dallas Turner and JJ McCarthy. Dallas Turner had a minimal impact this year. JJ McCarthy, we of course know about the torn meniscus. They don't have the draft picks to get cheap contracts, and they only have so much cap space to sign free agents. That seemed like the plan going into this offseason. Is kind of like, we'll go through the motions of 2024. All of a sudden, Sam Darnold's winning 14 games. So it's like it throws a wrench in the whole thing. But these last 8 quarters of football, these high leverage pressure quarters, he wasn't good enough. And you have JJ McCarthy. If you use the franchise tag, they only have $65 million in cap space. So that's $40 million allocated to Sam Darnold to the quarterback position of being fine, okay, maybe we win 10, 11 games again. But in the end, it limits the ceiling. So it's weird. It's a weird talking point, but I don't think he lost himself a lot of money because there's a lot of bad quarterbacks. I love saying this about coaches. There's a lot of bad coaches and there's a lot of bad quarterbacks. And someone will pay Sam Darnold for competency. The Titans, the Giants, the Steelers, whoever, the Colts. Someone's going to sign him to a rich enough deal that he is their starting quarterback. But
I laugh in the face of the possibility that Sam Darnold is the next quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, because that is such a Colts move.
They won't.
It is.
I think it's going to be the Raiders.
Hey, that guy
if I could guess, it's the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
the Raiders is another good one to throw out there. Like someone's going to pay him.
She's still under contract.
It should not be the Vikings. And if you take a step back in 2025 because you're just getting JJ under the ropes, it's fine because we could really hit this thing going in 2026. It's just, the last 8 quarters of football really ruined his reputation in Minnesota.
Yes.
The next thing I want to talk about, just briefly, the Bears are have interviewed Mike McCarthy. Now, it was a huge thing. Dallas didn't want to give the Bears any kind of opportunity to interview him. And guys, if you listen this week, I get it. I said I wasn't going to talk about rumors, yada, yada, yada. But I just want to drop a little tidbit for those of you that have been listening for quite a while.
Not a rumor. He interviewed today.
Well, you're right. Yeah, I'm just saying potential coaching candidates. We said that we weren't going to spend any time on because they are what they are, potential head coaching candidates. Until we have breaking news. Oh, by the way, Mike Vrabel signed with the Patriots. Big surprise.
We'll talk about that later.
Buddy. Yes. So I just want to say this. Mike McCarthy doesn't do a Zoom interview with the Bears. No. He wants to go in person. Bears send a private jet. They have dinner tonight. Apparently, it was a very good conversation. And all I got to say is that this whole time that Mike McCarthy goes and does this interview, he wants to revive the Chicago Bears. And the entire reason why is because he met a kid in Indianapolis that said, "You ruined my childhood." And what did he do? He wants to go and reverse it, turn the tables. Hey, kid, sorry about it. Here's some winning. And maybe turn Caleb into a better quarterback than Dak ever was. Who knows? Maybe I think it'd be hilarious if we could see Dak Prescott absolutely exposed this year. I'm just saying, for those of you that have been listening for a long time, first off, I know Ben and I specifically want to say thank you because it was just him and I before that, but all three of us want to say thank you. Second off, it might not be screw Mike McCarthy anymore. That might not be the inside joke.
You're going to talk yourself into Mike McCarthy, and it's going to be beautiful.
No, the process has already started. There is no going back. I've already started the process. It's not a good place to be in. I'm not okay, and we're going to go ahead and move on. So
no, wait. Oh, are you moving on to the next? Yeah. Are you moving on to the next head coach, or are you just moving on completely?
Completely.
Okay, no.
Unless we're talking about McVay now, or not McVay.
Well,
but
I wanted to talk about Mr. Prime Time there in Buffalo, or not in Buffalo, but Mr. Prime Time that's the coach for the Buffaloes.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
No, I don't think he's going anywhere either. I think he's pulling a Jim Harbaugh, and Matt asked me, did Jim Harbaugh do this? And to that was yes, and that's what I think he's doing. I think he's just trying to get a better contract there in Colorado. But it is going to be funny if they do pay him, because the whole appeal to him and the reason people like him is because he's this flashy guy, he's this interesting guy, and that works for college kids. When you go in the NFL, you are coaching grown men. I don't want to call it a facade because that's who he is and people really do like him. But that same appeal that you get from college kids is not going to work the same way that it's going to work when you're coaching grown men. I think if he does get an NFL job, it's going to be a joke and it's going to be fun to watch. That's for sure. And I'll leave it at that. I'm sure Matt has opinions as well.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. He can't walk.
You ready
into
to
the
get
Cowboys.
McNatty?
He can't walk into the Cowboys locker room and talk about bringing his own luggage, and it's this kid who compares to Teddy Bridgewater. Like, he can't do that. It's not how this works. But first, Mike Vrabel, I do want to hit on that. I just want to hit on how ironic it is from the Patriots side. The Patriots a year ago at this time were purging the Bill Belichick era. They were purging everything before everything. We're in a new era. We're a group, Elliott Wolf and Gerard Mayo hired together. We're going to be this more civilized. We're going to be a fist. And then the minute they possibly can, they sham the Rooney Rule, whatever you think about that. They shammed it, and they hire Mike Vrabel, who is the most similar retread that we possibly could have gotten to Bill Belichick. He got in arguments with his GM and got fired from Tennessee because of it. It's just ironic that this team, 1 year into the new philosophy of we're going to be more together, they immediately go backwards. And it's ironic from the Crafts. So that was the only thing. Few more coaching news. Indy is going to interview Dennis Allen as a Saints fan. Fantastic defensive mind, not a good head coach. If he's the defensive coordinator, it's a great hire. Falcons fired their defensive coordinator, Jimmy Lake, interviewed Lou Anarumo, the former Bengals defensive coordinator. I wonder what that means for Raheem Morris.
And Wink.
Because it seems...
And Wink.
And Wink. It seems like Raheem Morris is going to be more CEO, bring in a real deal play caller at defensive coordinator, and kind of take himself out of that position of defensive play caller. So that was interesting to me. And then lastly, the Browns hired Tommy Rees as their offensive coordinator. He was linked to the Patriots OC job because that's where Mike Vrabel spent his season, was with Cleveland as this coordinator, whatever. He didn't really have a real job. He was just on the staff working with him, racing Jameis Winston. But those were the few little coaching tidbits this week. So I just wanted to hit on this.
I want to say this really quick because Matt and I were talking about it beforehand. And Matt brought it up. He said, what a training camp conversation it would be, circling back to Mike McCarthy if he were to go to the Bears. Matt and I went to training camp, if you remember, this past summer. And I think that if Mike McCarthy ends up going to Chicago, I think that's a must, that we have to go to training camp no matter what.
Yes.
Matt and I were
We'd
talking
be quality
about
control coaches, pretty much.
Yeah.
By the end of it.
So him and I were talking about how, we want to talk to a player, any player, and just say, hey, listen, I've got a crazy story. If you would please just listen to me for half a second. Yeah. If you think it's a funny story, go and get Coach. If not, it's okay. It's all good, So imagine if this player went to go and get Mike McCarthy. We explain, hey, I'm that kid that said you ruined my childhood. Make up for it or else. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to word it that way. But
he's probably going to be like, who the hell are you? I don't even remember who you are. That was 3 years ago. Go away.
I would show him the picture. I'm going to be like, listen, remember that conversation that we had that was super awkward?
This is in the stairwell of Lucas Oil.
Yeah. So, check out this picture that we took right here. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying. I think it would be fun. I doubt Mike McCarthy remembers me at all. But it'd be super ironic to just be like, "Hey, you came to change it, huh? You came to suck up a little bit. Maybe give me some season tickets to make up for the fact that you ruined my childhood, and give me front row seats to make sure that you make up for me. You know what I mean? I just want to see. Anyways." Let's go ahead and move on briefly. Upset alert. Hey, guess what? Everybody's on upset alert. It's a divisional round, and it's pretty tough. And I'll be honest with you, I think we don't have enough time to go through upset alert because it's pretty much every matchup. So we're going to go ahead and do Pigskin Pick'em for the playoffs, for the divisional round. I want to go over records specifically in the playoffs because the regular season ended. Who cares about that? 5-1, Matt. Congratulations, pretty solid job, dude. And then Ben and I tied at 4-2. So, starting off with the Saturday matchups, Texans and Chiefs start at 3:30 on Saturday. I'm gonna lean Chiefs, root for Texans. Boys, what do you think? Ben, I'll go with you next.
As fun of a story as it was to see the Texans beat the Chargers, I feel more confident about this game than any game I'm going to pick all weekend. The Chiefs are going to win. I just don't see a world in which they lose. There's no way. They're the Chiefs, and I know it gets tiresome talking about it, but there's no way they lose this game. It's the Chiefs.
Matt?
Yeah, at the time of this game, January 18th, it'll be 24 straight days of Patrick Mahomes not playing football. So I'm just interested by that. I'm interested by the rust factor. If this team doesn't come out fast, if the Texans can hit some deep shots to Nico Collins to stay in this game, I think the Chiefs are so good at not playing themselves out of games. And the last time they played the Texans, they kind of did, and they were down 24-0 and still won by 20, if anyone remembers that. So I'm going to lean Chiefs, but I think I'm with Ryan here. I'm going to be rooting for C.J. Stroud and the Texans easily.
Oh, of course.
I think everybody in America will, except for
Unless
Kansas
you're
City.
Chiefs. Yeah.
Yeah. Commanders and Lions, arguably the toughest matchup, if not the top two.
Yes.
To predict. I'm going to land with the Lions because I'm just going to say, hey, I probably want the Commanders to win. That way we can interview and hire Ben Johnson before anybody else. But I think the Lions are going to make my life even more miserable and push this thing farther than it absolutely has to go. So I'm just going to say the Lions are going to win this one. Ben?
Yeah, I mean, of all three of the underdog games, and I say three because that Bills Ravens game is definitely going either way. I still have yet to make a decision on that game, and here we are. I think this game has the best chance of the underdog winning it, and that's simply because of that defense. And we've talked about it so much with the Lions and their injuries and stuff. But I think we're going to kind of start to see it as we did in that Packers game and whatnot. It's going to be a tough game. At the end of the day, I do think the Lions win this, but I would love for the Commanders to win so we could see Jalen Hurts, Jane Daniels, NFC Championship game. But Lions.
For your betting knowledge, David Montgomery will be playing this week. So I also want to add a slight tidbit that I think that the reason why the Lions win this game is because I feel like they can compete in a shootout with almost anybody. So, Matt?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Just looking at their IR list.
It's wild.
So, yeah, they're going to be missing Hutchinson still, Aleem McNeil, Carlton Davis, their number one corner, and Ennis Rakestraw is on the list too. He's DNP. Their right guard, Kevin Zeitler, is DNP. Terrion Arnold is a full practice, so he should go. I'm interested to see how they cover Terry McLaurin because this is a really at-you man coverage team, and if you leave Terry McLaurin on an island against Terrion Arnold or whoever they throw out there, I know who was it? Was it Amik Robertson who really went at Justin Jefferson? So if he brings that type of attitude to Terry McLaurin, I think this team could beat anybody. But at the same time, I'm not betting against Jaden Daniels. I'm taking the Commanders.
Wow. Okay. No problem.
You're doing what I would want the cojones to do. Yeah, Commanders. We'll do it.
There's a stretch.
Commanders.
There's a drive down the stretch that he just stamps again, and it's just willing it into existence.
Commanders. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. You know, I needed that push. I needed someone to kind of jump with me in this. We'll do the Commanders.
All right. Next up, Rams at Eagles. I don't want to go first. I don't.
I will.
I'm
I
make
will
the Eagles fan go first.
I'll go
I will
first.
gladly go first. Oh,
Okay,
you go
okay,
first.
okay.
You go first. No. You go.
Eagles are gonna kill him. Philly.
Yes. Yes. That's like I hate it, it's I think they played a very bad quarterback in the Vikings, a team that was a little bit of frauds, and everyone kind of sees that game and they're like, oh, the Rams, like, could they do it? Guys, it's supposed to be snowing at game time. There's just absolutely no way that Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, and Becton don't just absolutely bully Braden Fisk and just rush for like 200 yards. And that's I think that's the game plan. It's going to be really fun. We beat them by like 2 touchdowns when we played them, and obviously much different because that was much earlier on in the season and everything. And this really might bite me in the butt, and you can find it and replay it next week if they lose. I had more worry about playing the Packers than I do the Rams this week.
That being said, I'm going with the Rams. I think that if this were, I think that this has potential. I mean, I don't care what the temperature is going to be. I still feel like the Rams can score, and they will score. Matthew Stafford knows.
I mean, no one's been able to do it against this defense.
Which is even more of a reason to say that the Rams are going to win. Here's the thing, guys. I'm not betting
they weren't
on
able
this
to do it
game
earlier
or any
in the
of the
season.
games. I already won the regular season records, so I'm just going to go ahead and say with my gut, I think the Rams are going to win this.
All
Not
right.
sure why, but I think they're going to.
If Matthew Stafford does a
Ravens-
flamethrower game, he definitely can.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a script where it happens, and Matt said it, so I don't want to take this away from Matt because this is Matt's original thought, but he made a very good point when the two of us were talking. You'll be able to tell very early on in this game what kind of game it's going to be based off of how Matt Stafford opens the game up and how he's throwing the ball. So I don't know.
Because it's not like Fangio's going to throw weird stuff at him. It's not like he's going to blitz him. He's going to rush his 4. He's going to hope it gets home, and he's going to play 7 in coverage. Like it's all about what the Eagles have done this year, and it's just rallying and tackling. And
yeah.
If they do that, they're going to hold the Rams under 20, and they scored 37 against this team earlier this year. I looked at it. Saquon Barkley in that game had 2 70-yard rush touchdowns. Do we all remember that? That was awesome. If you take away his 2 70-yard rushing touchdowns, he still finished with 100-plus rushing yards on 4.5 yards per carry.
Exactly. They're gonna dominate this run game. I think. And I feel like I feel like I'm living in some like twilight zone that I'm this confident going into a playoff game against Sean McVay and Matt Stafford.
And Matt Stafford. Yeah.
Which is going to be like the reason we lose is because I'm this confident.
I think another like
exactly what I was
storyline.
thinking.
Another storyline is the LA team traveling to Philly. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Just like everything that's going on there, it's a toll. It takes a toll on human beings, and these are human beings.
Yeah.
Ravens and Bills. This one's a fun one.
Oh,
Happy
I'm
this
so
is
excited.
the conclusion.
Oh,
This
I'm
is gonna
so
be great.
excited.
Guys, I'm gonna lean Ravens, rooting for Bills. That's where I'm at.
That's kind of that's the same boat I think I'm in. I'm rooting for the Bills strictly off of the fact that I think they match up better against the Chiefs than I think the Ravens do, and I think like if they play against each other, I think the Bills again would put up a little bit more of a fight. But I do think the Ravens are going to win this one, and I think Lamar Jackson is just going to run circles around those guys on defense.
Yeah, I just don't think this defense is strong enough. Matt, what do you think?
Baltimore. Lamar, go get that ring on your finger.
Well, and it's the same issue that like me and you specifically, and not to exclude you in this conversation, Ryan, but like it's the same thing for the past 2 years. This Rams defense lacks guys, or not the Rams. This Bills defense lacks guys that can like effectively stop the run. And it's a conversation we've had, and the reason I say Matt is because we've talked about this in the draft. Like Tavondre Sweat was like my dream fit for like the Bills and Tavondre Sweat because they needed a guy like him. They needed someone that could stop the run, and they have not gotten that guy in the last 2 years, and it's hurt them in the playoffs the last 2 years. I'm wondering if this is going to be the year it changes, but until I see something, it's hard for me to say it's going to be fixed.
My main concern about the Bills isn't just because they've lost to the Ravens already, but it's more so. I mean, look at the way that the Broncos defense was able to hold them. I mean, it was 10-7 at half, and I'm not gonna lie to you. When it comes to rooting for Josh Allen in the playoffs, I immediately was like, "Ooh, no, this might end a lot sooner than I thought." And then all of a sudden, it was all Bills second half. So it's like, I get it. It's a little bit different, but, you know, this Ravens defense is that tough to where it makes things a lot harder. So
this is an awesome playoff game because one of these guys is going to get to go on the road and hopefully slay the beast, Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs on their path to win the third straight Super Bowl. No one's ever done it. And the other is going to be labeled a playoff joker because they couldn't beat the other guy. All three of these guys are the top three quarterbacks in football. But someone's got to lose, someone's got to win. And sadly, in our sport of the NFL, if you lose a playoff game, you're the worst guy. You're the worst quarterback on the planet.
Herbo,
you suck. You suck.
You're awful.
The one thing that I will say to you guys is this the best, I guess, like, okay, when it comes to the next round, assuming that the Chiefs win, are the Ravens the most comfortable that you would be going up against Patrick Mahomes to slay that beast?
The Bills would be, but yes, I think it's going to be fun either way. I think the Bills match up better.
It all depends on how you feel about the quarterbacks, really.
Yeah.
I just think that it's so much more than the quarterbacks. I feel like the Ravens can slow them down so much easier.
I'll say the turnaround that they had on that defense. I mean, the first couple weeks of that Ravens defense, they were like one of the worst units in all of football, and now they're one of the best units in all of football.
When they switched Kyle Hamilton from nickel to safety, they were bottom 10 in passing EPA. Since the switch to Kyle Hamilton, they were first, and the difference from them at first to the team in second till the end of the year was the same difference between second and sixth. That's how good they were.
Yeah.
I will say
the turnaround was amazing.
The best thing that I'm looking forward to, if this is going to be the next round, is week 1. What was this? Opening day. The matchup that started the season could be a preview for the AFC Championship, and the Ravens. I mean, they were a shoe size.
They were
smaller
a big toe away.
than going to a big toe away from being in overtime against Patrick Mahomes.
I have no doubt Harbaugh would have gone for 2. Also,
yes. Oh, for sure.
I also want to say that this is a completely different Ravens team than we saw at the beginning of the season, to where they are so much stronger than they were in week 1, to where it's like, I feel the most comfortable.
Deontay Johnson
was there.
And I mean, look at Derrick Henry. That first game against the Chiefs, Derrick Henry was not the same Derrick Henry that we see now, which is like wild as the season has gotten on. Yeah. So,
Pigskin payout, boys. I will not be participating. If you follow me on Twitter, you know why.
Oh, I got a big one, I guess.
Yes.
But after this, we're gonna do College Corner, and then that'll be it because we went way too long.
He's scared. He's scared. Anyways,
ducking.
Ducking. That's what it is. No, I'm gonna keep it nice and simple for you guys. We're just gonna do a 3-legger the way I always do. It's kind of my MO. But we're gonna do all touchdown scores, which tends to be a little fickle, but I kind of like them, so we're gonna do it. We're gonna go Jahmyr Gibbs. I know that David Montgomery is back, but I don't think he's fully healthy, and I don't think he's gonna be the same David Montgomery that we saw early in the season. I mean, he was supposed to be out. Like, he was supposed to go on IR. He was supposed to get surgery, and it took him like 4 doctors for someone to be like, Sure, go ahead. And I think it was just a matter of like his what he's comfortable with.
I think it's a pain tolerance injury.
Yeah,
I think it's just like it's gonna hurt like an MFer, but I'm not missing this.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know. He's not going to be 100%. And I mean, we've seen Jahmyr Gibbs without David Montgomery. I mean, he's been on an absolute tear. He scored all of their touchdowns in the Vikings game. That's how well he's been. So we're doing Jahmyr Gibbs. We're doing Saquon because I already told you guys why. And then we're gonna do Josh Allen. I think again it's really just gonna be a battle of these two quarterbacks trying to will their respective teams to winning. And I think we're gonna get one of those Josh Allen moments. So again, it's Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, and Josh Allen anytime touchdown scores. That brings you up to plus 357. It's $10 to win. $40, like $45 or something like that, if I'm doing the math correctly. So there you go. Hopefully we see some high scoring games and it works out for you guys. So
I will take this back. I do not have anything, so I cannot check the odds. Okay,
I'll do it for you.
For those degenerates that want to complete some kind of death parlay that there's no way that this is hitting, and if it does, it'll be fun to kind of come back and look on. Here's this. All right, and we're gonna set this up. I can't believe
I'll do it for you here.
All right. All right, let me add one more here. We're gonna go with.
If you want to make it, I have mine. I could take.
All right, I have it. You ready?
Okay.
So we're just doing one per game, with the exception of the Commanders Lions. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it's not all tight ends, but I know it starts that way. Noah Gray for the Chiefs. It was always Noah Gray. It's not Travis Kelce. It's Noah Gray. All right. Sam Laporta.
It's never not Noah Gray.
Give me a second. Let me.
It's only Noah Gray when you have Travis Kelce.
No, exactly. Okay.
So you have Noah Gray and Sam Laporta, right?
Correct.
Zach Ertz.
It is just a tight end. Okay.
Dallas Goedert.
Ooh, that's with the snow is quite the
big man. He's a tight end. He's gonna score.
Oh,
the end zone.
I also have something to read
bullied
about
Corey Ballantyne to the end zone.
He did. Okay.
You know what? Hold on a minute. What is hold on a minute. Delete Dallas Goedert. I have a different one.
Okay.
Kenneth Gainwell. Give me Kenneth Gainwell.
You're a sicko. That's not happening.
They're gonna blow him out so bad they put in Gainwell.
No, Saquon needs a break and he gets stopped on the 2, so they put on Gainwell. Give me Gainwell.
And Hurts pushes him.
No, Hurts still has a head injury and he's a little so they're not doing it.
Okay.
Kenneth Gainwell.
Plus 1,000 for Kenny Gainwell straight up, by the way. Anyways.
And then for the Ravens-Bills game, I'm not taking James Cook, not taking Josh Allen. Give me Derrick Henry, but not 1, but 2 touchdowns.
Whoa.
Okay.
That's a suicide parlay, guys.
To those who want to hear it again, that's Sam Laporta, Zach Ertz, Noah Gray, Kenny Gainwell, and 2 touchdowns from 2 touchdowns from Derrick Henry. I'm really bad at reading numbers out loud, so I'll just tell you guys what happens if you put in $10. You put in $10, you win $18,887.
Yeah. Wait. All right.
So,
hold on a minute. Do me one favor and swap Kenneth Gainwell for Hurts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me do that. Yeah, because Kenny Gainwell was a ridiculous pull. This is coming from the Eagles fan. That was okay. So it definitely drastically affects your odds. So now that is $10 to win 3,201 plus some change. So basically it rounds to $3,202.
All right.
I guess, yeah. I mean, if you hate your life and
then-
you want to lose $10, there you go.
You hate your life. Okay. All right. Okay. We're not. Give me one more. All right, one more. Like I said, this is the most fun. Okay, I've had on this segment. You ready?
Yeah.
Instead of Noah Gray, put in Pacheco.
Okay. You're just dropping your odds just slowly.
I know it's not fun, but still.
Okay. Pacheco. So now that's $10 to win 1,301.
And you still have Hurts, right?
Yeah. So this is Sam Laporta, Zach Ertz, Derrick Henry to score 2 touchdowns, Jalen Hurts to score a touchdown, and Pacheco to score a touchdown. Again, $10 to win $1,301. Matt, after you read your parlay, I do want to say something before we move on to college really quickly. That's been irking me, but I will let you do your thing.
Thanks for having fun. This is good.
My 5 pick, 5 legs, Commanders plus 9.5. That's their actual line. Philly -6. That's the actual line. And then a 3 pick same game parlay. Derrick Henry 60 plus rush yards, Lamar Jackson 25 plus, and James Cook 40 plus. That equals out to about like a -120, so about a spread. I don't want to pick the spread in this game. I just expect both teams to run the ball and to feature their main running attractions. So that's kind of where I'm at. That is plus 529. And then another little sprinkle, if you want to have fun, Isaiah Pacheco, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, and Derrick Henry. All of these 4 are the favorites, the feature backs. I think sprinkling first touchdown for all of those is wise. The favorites to get out, and if one of them hits, you break even because they're the only one besides Pacheco is plus 750. Jahmyr Gibbs plus 400, Saquon plus 390, and then Derrick Henry plus 425. So if one of those hits, it will likely hit. And if you want to parlay those all together, 10 wins $10,000. But don't do that. Don't do that.
Yes. I love it. This has been a lot of fun on this segment. To switch really quickly, and again, this isn't so much pigskin payout. Something that's been irking me the last couple of days, and I really kind of need to get off Twitter a little bit because I need a breather from Patriots fans. I don't know where this like thought process has come. Well, I do know where it is. It's just a flawed thought process, I guess. There is a large majority, at least on Twitter, of Patriots fans that believe that they can get AJ Brown. And they're like, oh, well, he wanted to be drafted by the Patriots, and him and Mike Vrabel have a good, relationship. So let's trade our second round pick for AJ Brown. And I'm like, are you high? A second round pick is ridiculous. He's not going for a second round pick, but like also he's not getting traded. And I think they saw him reading a book and they're like, yeah, there it is. He's reading a book. He wants out. But like, it just, I don't know where like these Patriots fans are coming from, but they're like, just give him a second round pick and we can get AJ. And I'm just like, screw off. And it's everywhere.
Go sign T. Higgins. Go sign T. Higgins and be happy, Patriots fans.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Anyways.
Let's go ahead and move on to College Corner. I don't know. Okay. I would like you guys to, can we end with the national championship? I would assume you guys have more points than just.
I just had the Natty. I just had the Natty. That's the only thing I was.
I mean, I just have that Texas has 15 players entering the NFL draft, so that's pretty cool. From 2022, the 5-7 season, the losing to Kansas, 0 players were drafted. In a span of 2 years, they have made back-to-back semifinals. Thank you, Quinn Ewers. And 15 players are projected to be drafted for Texas. Those are my really only points. The transfer portal is mostly closed. Anyone entering the transfer portal isn't a major name. Carson Beck was the biggest name. I talked about it on TikTok. He committed to Miami within 24 hours. So that's really
no shocker. Yeah, there's no shocker there. And you called it. You called it. I don't know if you outright said it on the podcast, but it
happened on Thursday, so I probably didn't, but I did make a big TikTok on it. So
that, but on the Quinn Ewers stuff, there was a whole conversation like the month leading up to the college football playoffs and during the playoffs that like, oh, there's a team that's out there, and it was probably Miami. There was a team that was out there that was willing to offer him all this money to transfer. And I very, very vividly remember you telling me that him doing that senior night at Texas meant something to him. And you were like, there's no way he's going somewhere because you saw the emotion that he gave in that senior night, and you were spot on. I mean, no one should be shocked that you're spot on about anything involving Texas, but I mean, you called it. So props to you.
Tip of the cat.
So
Arch Manning era also underway. All right, national championship time.
national championship. Yeah. So I don't want to. Is it cool if we don't spend too much time on this? Just because we are already at an hour and a half, and I don't want to waste too many people's time.
Boo.
But I will say, I'm very excited about this. I kind of want to get Ben. I've got a question for you specifically because I already asked it to Matt when him and I were getting food after the national championship. Happy to see you're still alive, by the way, Matt. Not good. Anyways, so Ben, here's my question to you, and I don't want to sound ignorant at all when I ask this. So kind of So this, as everybody knows, if you've listened to it since the summertime, this is my first time really paying attention to college football. Beforehand, I was just like, yeah, I'm an Ohio State fan. I root for them, and whenever they're on, like they're my team. Like this is the team that I would root for. But now it's like I'm following college football as a whole, and I'm watching teams that I wouldn't normally watch. I've got college football on when it's on, like as many days of the week as I can. Is it upsetting to you that the first time that I do this, my team's competing in the national championship? Not trying to rub it in at all or anything like that, but it's like, is there any kind of bitterness about it? You know what I mean?
Absolutely not.
Because
no,
my
I'm
team
happy
lost
for
to
you.
yours.
Yeah, right. No, absolutely not. I'm happy for you. I mean, like that's the way that you would hope it to go. That like you start watching and your team does great. I have no bitterness towards you as a fan, and honestly, I have no bitterness towards OSU as a program at this moment in time. Because cool, you can win national championship, but you still can't beat Michigan.
You don't have to cheat to get there. That's all good.
So I have no bitterness towards you guys. Well, I mean, this is the worst Michigan team we've seen in 4 years, and you still lost. But that's besides the point.
Boom.
But no, I'm very happy for you. And I mean, I thought they were going to do good. I very vividly remember placing my futures on OSU and Oregon. And I remember Matt. I don't know if you remembered what you said when I placed those, and I sent that in the chat. But you were like, you're gonna send. You're really betting it all on Will Howard and Dylan Gabriel, and it's worked out for me for the most part. But I'm happy for you, man. I mean, this is what I want to see. That being said, I think OSU will win this game, but I don't know who to root for. I think I might even end up rooting for Ohio State, as much as that like hurts me in my chest to say that. But strictly because I have money on them. I want to win money. But I want to win money, but like also it goes back to I live in Indiana, and I have 2 OSU fans that are like a big part of my life, and that's you and our close friend Damien. But I have a lot more Notre Dame fans that are in my life. And Notre Dame fans this year have just been the most arrogant MFers I have ever seen. And I would love to see them kind of taken a couple notches down. And if OSU wins, I have to deal with you and Damian saying something. If Notre Dame wins, I have to deal with a lot more people saying stuff. So at the end of the day, I don't really have any rooting direction either way outside of the money, but I do think LSU wins this game. And even if they want to bracket Jeremiah Smith with Xavier Watts over the top of him, you guys showed in this Texas game you guys can win even if a team decides to shut down Jeremiah Smith. And I just don't know if Notre Dame has enough pieces on both sides of the ball, both offensively and defensively, to keep up with OSU. And I think that's going to be the deciding factor. You guys just have more players that are better. And there are a few guys that stand out on Notre Dame's defense, and that's about it. And I just don't think they have enough guys to stop you guys on either end of the football. So
the biggest thing that I want to talk about is Will Howard's hand in the semifinals.
Oh my God, that was gross.
That was crazy.
Gross.
We both were like, dude, is he gonna come out or what? I was just reading an article. I guess Will Howard said this happened earlier in the season. I just kind of looked down and it was really big, and I was like, that's weird. Doesn't really hurt, but all right, kind of weird. He had Hulk hand for half a second there. Kind of gross. Excited to see where this goes.
Yeah.
Any closing comments, guys?
Well, Matt hasn't mentioned anything about the game.
No, I thought that he talked. I'm sorry, dude. That's the second time I've done this to you, this show.
I mean, no, it's fine. I couldn't care less about this game. It's David and Goliath, and my team is not in it. It's a bummer. The only thing, and to your bitter point, the only thing I'm bitter about Ohio State is that Jeremiah Smith was not in the Biletnikoff ballot, because that guy should have won it. Just my opinion. Wanted to be right about
triple
that.
Team.
But yeah, man, it comes down to the things we can't predict, because this team, Notre Dame specifically, they are good at the things you can't predict, and that is turnovers. They shock you into these spurts and create turnovers, like the Drew Aller game. Drew Aller played one of his worst games. He looked like 2022 Drew Aller when he stepped into Columbus. He looked shell-shocked over the course of that game. And Notre Dame's entire identity this entire season has just been, we just hang around. We either beat the hell out of you or we just hang around, and you're not going to punt us in the end. This is their biggest test, obviously, because this is the national championship and it is the most talented team that they are facing. We all said it. Whoever comes out of the top half of the bracket is likely going to win, but football games are not played on paper. And I hope Notre Dame really gives them a fight, because it is hard to root against Marcus Freeman. It is hard to root against what they overcame in that NIU game, because both of these teams got embarrassed in their own separate ways. And whether you blame it to coaching, whether you blame it to the talent level, they came together and they rose above it and they beat their toughest opponents when it mattered most. So this is going to be an awesome national championship. I love that it's South Bend in Columbus. That is not a far drive. I wish this was at Lucas Oil so badly.
One time it's not, dude.
Because it would feel so much more. The energy in the building would feel so much more. But it's going to be a great game. If Ohio State starts fast, I don't know. But then again, Notre Dame is like a bug. They had 0 points in the first half against Penn State, and their backup quarterback had to come in the game, and he led a drive to score points. So they are like a bug you cannot squish. They just don't go away, and Ohio State's a buzzsaw. So we'll see. We'll all see when the game is played, and someone's going to win a national championship. So that's pretty cool.
Really quickly, I know you wanted to.
Also, Lou Holtz leaning into the bit, by the way. Did you
see
that? That was incredible.
No, the only way we lose this game is because we
need a Lou Holtz cam.
Yes.
I want a Lou Holtz in the left side of my screen, just standing there all old and Lou Holtz.
Yes. Oh, I would love that. For those who don't know, he made a comment to. So there's a long history that I don't care to get into between Lou Holtz and Ryan Day.
This is a tough
Lou Holtz
team.
came out. Yeah, he came out today and he was like, the only reason Notre Dame is gonna if Notre Dame loses, it's because they want Ryan Day to keep his job, and that's why we're gonna lose.
But also another thing that just stumbled upon me. I hate to cut you off, Ben, but do you remember the last time these two teams played in South Bend? Marcus Freeman had 10 players on the field for the biggest play of the game.
Oh yeah.
To think where Notre Dame has come from since then. They're playing in the national championship. That's pretty.
It's something.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Something.
But I don't know.
Not to.
And it's a Jesus off. Will Howard and Riley Leonard thanks Jesus after their so Jesus has to force one of them to lose.
Yeah. Not to stray too far away from national championship talk, but we'll do this before it gets any further. Bears fans, stop. Marcus Freeman is not going anywhere. Marcus Freeman is staying put in Notre Dame. He has no reason to leave. He's building something. He could. They win fun, this,
but yeah,
he can really build up. It would be fun, but it's not happening. It's a little bit of like other teams as well, but like stop. Marcus Freeman is not going to, at least this year. Marcus Freeman is not going anywhere. Please, for everything that is holy, pun intended, while talking about Notre Dame, stop it. He's not going anywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Pigskin Project. I look forward to next week. We got a lot of stuff to cover next week. I mean, the divisional round is going to be sick. Please enjoy yourself this weekend. I mean, lots of good stuff. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, you've got games. I mean, big games.
High-stakes games.
So, yeah, it's going to be awesome. What more can you ask for? So we want to thank Uppercuts Grooming, Restorative Sports Network, and I did that out of Spotify for podcasters. Holy cow, I did that out of order. For helping us grow as a podcast, please follow us on our socials. And by the way, if TikTok goes away, Instagram. Follow our Instagram. That's probably where stuff's going to go. Mm-hmm. But thank you very much. We will see you guys next week. Have a good weekend.